Toronto principal who was mobbed after false accusation of racism takes his own life. Yo, sad story, man. I wish this guy didn't do it. I wish his family well. I'll give you the quick version of it. There was an anti-racist individual who claimed that in some school curriculum that the U.S. was Canada was more racist than the U.S. The principal said, well, I agree Canada is racist. I certainly don't think we're more racist than the U.S. So they attacked him, started emailing, complaining. They wanted him fired. They called him a racist. Canada is more racist. And you know what? I got to say, that woman was correct. Canada is more racist than the U.S. America's the best. We're just perfect at everything, and you guys are awful.
Can you believe this level of self-flagellation? Like, look who thinks he's nothing is the old joke. First of all, it's terrible. There's obviously anybody who's going to take their own life because of circumstances like this. There's, I would suspect, more deeper underlying psychological issues. And when it comes to this type of thing, in the practice of my legal career, I came across 2 incidents where traumatizing suicide, things that occurred in the context of my practice. I always say, whatever you're feeling, if that's what you're thinking, just wait another day and talk to someone. You can do it tomorrow, and then keep doing that over and over again. Something deeper was obviously going on with this individual, but the idea that they're sitting there trying to argue that Canada is more racist than the States. No, the States is more racist than Canada. As far as the world goes, whatever imperfections of both America and Canada exist, I would still say they're 2 of the greatest nations on earth, where it's the best to be anybody. By no means perfect. Canada a little less so. But
tell us about your country, good sir, as to how it is that this guy who is woke himself. He's not a MAGA Republican. This guy was, as far as I understand, was a very lefty individual himself. And this is what happens: the mob turns on itself. The revolution devours its own children, and nobody is woke enough. Nobody hates themselves enough. And then a mob lands on this individual, and some people are not prepared to deal with that type of barrage of hatred, not death threats, but like go kill yourself type comments. And some people are succumb to these terrible ideas that, this is the solution. This is the permanent solution to a temporary problem. There's another story that I'm not going to get into the specific details of because it's a bit graphic, but there's an individual who underwent affirmation surgery, which was botched. And thus, because of the pain, they requested the Canadian government terminate their lives.
Oh, God, that is the worst.
Can we embark on the segment of Canadian madness right now? You got this story, which is not a tip of the iceberg. It's a symptom of the problem.
You're a refugee.
I'm literally right now driving from Montreal back to the free state of Florida.
I'm glad you made it through safe, sir.
Political sanctuary.
You got MAIDS, Medical Assistance in Dying, is a program in Canada. 2016, Supreme Court says it's unconstitutional to deny medical assistance in dying to the terminally ill. Liberal government comes in and says, okay, well, we're going to enact legislation that we're going to amend the criminal code. We're going to allow for it. And at the time, I think it was basically unsolicited. It was a liberal member of parliament said, well, we don't want to discriminate against the mentally ill. We want to allow the mentally ill. People who are by legal definition incapable of consent when it comes to certain judicial acts.
This is physically painful.
It's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. We don't want to deny them the constitutional right to end their own lives. So we're going to allow mentally ill people to commit suicide, to medical assistance in dying, euthanasia, or as it was once called, Project Action, I think. They said, okay, well, we're going to sunset that clause. We're going to include the exclusion for now, but that exclusion is going to fade into the sunset in, I think it's March 2024. Within 5 years, medical assistance in dying went from the hundreds to over 10,000 in 2021. The number people are, guessing what it's going to be in 2022 it's expected to be about 17,000. 10,064 Canadians were put to death through this medical assistance in dying in 2021. That represents 3% of all death in Canada is government-induced medical assistance in dying.
Well, but,
3% of all death in Canada coming from the government.
This is
government authorization, just be clear.
This is like a country that is trying to come off as progressive and woke, literally enacting the most psychotic eugenics
that you can imagine.